You're watching Shoptalk TV. Up next, an interview with Rachel Tipograph, founder and CEO of MikMak. Rachel will be joined by Ben Miller, Shoptalk's VP of Original Content and Strategy.
Well, welcome back to Shoptalk TV, and I'm joined by Rachel Tipograph, founder and CEO of MikMak. Rachel, for anybody watching who isn't familiar with MikMak, what do you do?
Yeah, MikMak's a software platform. We work with the biggest brands in the world, and we help them understand the effectiveness of their marketing investments across every single channel. So think Meta, TikTok, the trade desk, their websites, their mobile apps, all the way down to basket level sales data across 8,000 retailers and marketplaces around the world.
Okay, so when you say you help them understand the effectiveness, so what what does that mean? What are the sort of metrics that you're able to create?
Yeah, so take my customer at Unilever.
Yeah.
They own great brands like Dove. Dove is readily available everywhere. Before MikMak, Unilever had no idea when they were investing in Meta, for example, how it impacted their performance at places like Walmart and DoorDash and Instacart and Tesco and Loblaws.
Okay.
And so MikMak solves that problem. It allows them to understand when I put $1 into a marketing channel, what performance does that drive in my retail partners? And then with that data, they will reallocate spend based on best performing channels.
Okay. Understood. Before we get into your session, so you've been on stage with us this morning. Let's talk something we don't really get a chance to do on stage. Talk a little bit about you. So tell me about. I'd love to know the founding story of MikMak. How did you go about creating this business? But before that, what were you doing? So what's your background?
Yeah. So commerce and marketing is all that I know. Before MikMak, I ran global digital and social media at Gap. So I was retailer side. I was there 2011, 2014. It was 3 positive years of the company's growth. Gap's been through many twists and turns. We know right now they're on top, which I'm excited for them. But when I was there, net profits of the company increased by 70%. Digital went from 5% of the revenue to 20%. Okay. And then we lowered the average age of the customer. So it was this amazing run. But what was more important was about that time period on the internet, 2011, 2014. It's when every darling direct-to-consumer brand was coming to market.
Of course.
Right? On the backbone of Shopify and Meta ads. Yeah. What was more important was about the time period of the internet, 2011, 2014. It's when every darling direct-to-consumer brand was coming to market on the backbone of Shopify and Meta ads. Our cost per customer acquisition, it rose.
Yeah.
And that was because all of a sudden we were competing against anyone who could launch Shopify sites and buy Facebook ads. Cool. While this was happening, I was watching America turn to Gap. I was watching America turn to Amazon to try to buy Gap.
Yes.
It was early signs to me that the retailers were going to become the new walled gardens. And so my thesis was, one day, all of these darling direct-to-consumer brands are going to have to end up on the shelves of Amazon, Target, and Walmart because they're going to need reach and qualified shoppers.
Okay.
And when that happens, these brands will be blind. They'll just be like Unilever, where they will have no idea the effectiveness of their marketing investments have on their bottom line or even their top line at their biggest retail partners. And that's what caused me to build MikMak.
How fascinating. So you've been on stage with us this morning, sharing a perspective. Tell us, what were the kind of key points that you were covering in your talk this morning?
Yeah. Because MikMak is a software company that works with the biggest brands in the world, we see where every dollar goes on the internet. And it's really interesting. I've been in this space my entire career, and this is the first time in my career where politics directly impacts advertising.
Okay.
And that's because a lot of political figures that are operating right now have close ties to advertising channels.
Of course.
And so January 2025,
Yep.
TikTok ban.
Yep.
In real time, we watched TikTok advertising traffic go to 0%. While that happened, we watched Alphabet gain, as well as Pinterest. And all of a sudden, our customers were turning to us, not to understand the effectiveness of their marketing investments, to understand where dollars were moving in the global economy.
Right.
And so in this highly volatile world, we're sitting at the epicenter of understanding not just consumer behavior, but where all of the advertising dollars are going. And brands right now, during great times of uncertainty, are looking for answers and are looking for trusted data. And we've really been at the center of that conversation.
Right. So the data that you shared, it showed that obviously TikTok very quickly came back. What happened to the advertising spend? Has it recovered back to its previous position? What are the other winners and losers out of that?
Yeah. So who's gained? Alphabet has made big
Yeah.
gains. Pinterest has made big gains. And so it's a really interesting time where dollars are shifting in real time.
It's really interesting. So that was one angle you covered this morning. The other angle you covered, I think, is how you see the next wave of commerce and what that means for brand owners. Could describe your thesis on that one?
Yeah. So I started MikMak 10.5 years ago. 10.5 years ago, we were all living in what I describe as the self-service commerce era. Everyone was coming to market on the backbone of Shopify.
Yeah.
In many ways, that's amazing because it allowed millions of people to become entrepreneurs, but it also created a sea of sameness. Every commerce experience was looking and feeling the same. And if you think about brand, at the end of the day, what's your greatest differentiator? It's your brand.
Yeah.
And so what we believe is about to happen in commerce is that the market is actually going to shift from being self-serve to being API first.
Okay.
Allowing brands to essentially have a composable tech stack where they can plug and play so they can tailor to their needs versus buying monolithic platforms, and put them in the driver's seat of owning the user experience as well as the data. And so that's the big bet that MikMak is placing. And so we talked about how we really think that the future of commerce technology is going to be predicated on two things: APIs and AI.
Fascinating. So talk about the AI thing. Obviously, it's been a big talking point of the show so far, and there's going to be a lot more. How are you expecting AI to impact marketing and commerce?
So I'll just talk from example at MikMak. So a big part of what MikMak does is acquire retail data, normalize data, surface that data in our experiences. When I started the company 10.5 years ago, I had an entire engineering team in the country of Georgia helping us do that.
Right.
By adopting OpenAI 18 months ago, we were able to shift that team from doing menial tasks to now doing more high-value strategic work. And so I think for a lot of brands and retailers, the first place that they're leveraging AI is operationally.
Yep.
How do we reduce like manual work that doesn't take complex thinking, but is more mundane everyday tasks? Stage 2 is personalization. And then stage 3 is essentially predictive analytics. And I think that's the journey that everyone's going on. Now, the interesting thing, and I don't know if it's being talked about on stage today, but I'm seeing this within our customer base. Remember, we work with the biggest brands in the world. Around December, I started to notice all of the legal teams started to care about AI in their contracts. And what's very interesting with a lot of these legacy companies is that they're very hesitant to have their data used in AI. But the reality is, to participate in AI, we all have to be good corporate citizens.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the tension's going to be. Brands want to leverage AI, but they don't want their data involved. And so that's where I think we're going to feel some healthy tension over the next 2 years.
That's really interesting. So, Rachel, I want to get you out of here. But I guess one key question left for me is, we've got 2 more days of Shop Talk ahead of us. What are the things you want to hear from? What are the conversations that you want to hear, or maybe things that you think have been missing in the wider conversation that you think we should be addressing?
I think the big thing is talking about real business issues. So how are people driving volume sales in this very volatile environment?
Yeah.
How are they navigating tariffs? How are they thinking about retail media versus brand media investments? I think these are the hot topics that are on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, fantastic. So much to come back to. Thank you very much, Rachel Tipograph.